Okay, what I need you to do is locate today's file. We're going to be still working on Excel spreadsheets and learning more about the ribbon. So in Files, please go to Class Materials. In Class Materials, go to Mathis Excel Assignments. And in that folder, I need you to locate the Mathis Income Analysis, but don't click on it. What you need to do is go over here to the far right and click More Options until you get the download. Go ahead and download this puppy. And when it finishes downloading, you should be able to locate it and open it. That's not it. That's what I had open. Okay, let me close that other one. Okay, so here's the one that we're going to be working on. Because you have that yellow bar, you won't be able to do too much, so go ahead and enable editing. Now we can get started. So from the last class, you learned how to merge and bold and center a title. So what I want you to do is go ahead and click into A1, drag it to F1, go up into the Home tab of the section where you see alignment and click Merge and Center. And then again on the Home tab in the font area, go ahead and click Bold. Alright, so we've done these first two things. Check, check. Now, we've also done this, so this should not be new to you. If you click in here, you want to be able to find the sum of all of these dollar amounts for one total. So if you click in here and go to Auto Sum and just click the Auto Sum sign, it knows based on what's available and the patterns that could prevail that you want to sum up the columns of B4 through E4. So once you see that, hit Enter. And now you've got the $90 amount, which is the total of Reese's sales for that month. What you need to do is go ahead and do that for Jolly Rancher. Same thing. Milky Way, I'm going up to the Auto Sum. And for the gum, we're going to do the same thing. Now, notice that when I added these things together, this also changed. That's because it already had a formula populated in it. So we've got our sums. Now we've got to do some things with those sums. So there is another sheet, not the sales sheet, but there's another few sheets that you are not able to see right now. In order to see them, you have to unhide them. So if you are on the Home tab, go over to the section that says Cells, and then click the Format tab. You're going to see a visibility section called Hide and Unhide. And what we need to do is unhide the Candy Expenses worksheet. So we're going to unhide a sheet, and it's going to tell us which sheet do you want to unhide, because there's a couple of them there. So let's unhide Candy Expenses, and now you can see Candy Expenses are right here. Now, based on the Candy Expenses, let's go back to what our instructions are. We did the unhide for the worksheet, and now we are going to do total expenses for all the candies. So these are the expenses for the candies, and we're going to do that auto sum again. So we'll fill those in. And remember, I'm hitting Enter in order for the numbers to show up. Okay, so now we have all the sums up. So now we're going to highlight a group so that we can have the data available but not necessarily the total, because we're going to need it for later, and we're going to be using this thing called a name range. So if you will go back into, we're going to do it for both candy sales and candy expenses. So what I want you to do is highlight, click into B4 and go down to E4. Now, right now, if you look over here, it says B4. What I want to do is change that. And since this is the Reese's and we're on the sales page, we're going to just name it Reese's Sales, capital S-A-L-E-S, and hit enter. So that now, if I clicked out of this, if I just clicked here, it's going to say B4, but if I click the whole thing, now it changes to Reese's Sales. So let's do that for the rest of them here. So we're going to change B5 to, and we're going to make sure that it's all one word, but we're going to capitalize and lowercase some of the information. So we're going to do Jolly Rancher, capital S for sales, and enter. Do the same thing for Milky Way, capital M-I-L-K-Y, Way, capital S-A-L-E-S. And then the last one for Gum. So G-U-M, capital S-A-L-E-S. So now we have those for later, and we have them so that you'll see what we're going to need them for. We're going to do the same thing with candy expenses, but this time instead of sales, we're going to have expenses. So what I want you to do is highlight and change this to Reese's EXP for expenses. Same thing here. Remember, we're not including the total. Jolly Rancher, all one word, capital EXP. And then Milky Way, capital EXP. And last but not least, Gum EXP. Okay, so let's go to our worksheet here. So now we have named Reese's EXP or Reese's Sales, and we did it for all of them. Now, notice we only have candy sales and candy expenses. Now we need to do an analysis sheet. Well, this is also a hidden worksheet, so we're going to go back to Cells under the Home tab, go to Format, Hide and Unhide, and we're going to unhide the sheet that says Candy Analysis. Now, in the Candy Analysis sheet, we're going to try to find the average sales, expenses, maximum sales, and maximum expenses. Here's one way of doing it. We could say, okay, I need to find the average. So before we were using AutoSum, we could do average. But now we have to change pages and go back to sales. And I have to highlight all of these and hit enter. When I do, it comes up with the average sales that we saw. If we average these out, then it's going to show you what the average sales are. But here's a faster way. So that was for Reese's. Let's try a different way. Let's go to Jolly Rancher, and this time instead of using this over here, we're going to go to Formulas. We're going to find average under this AutoSum. And now, notice some of these things grayed out, but not using this formula or using formula. So now we know that we are on the Jolly Rancher, and I want to do Jolly Rancher Sales. So now, we didn't have to change pages to do anything. Let's try that again. So I want to find the average of the Milky Way sales, and we already named it Milky Way Sales. and we'll put that in there. Find the gum, the average, using formula for gum sales. Okay, so now here's what we want to do. We're going to find the average of the expenses. All it is trying to locate the expense sheet that we created, that the group that we created. So for the average expenses, let's go average, using formula Jolly Ranch expense, enter. Then average, oh, we didn't want Jolly Rancher up there, hold on, let's back up. If you ever get stuck, hit enter and then you can just delete it. Okay, so we want to do Reese's here. So auto sum to the average, and we want the Reese's expenses, enter. And then auto sum average, here's the Jolly Rancher expenses, enter. And we want the Milky Way average, Milky Way expenses, and the gum average, and the gum expenses, enter. So far so good. Now, did you notice that under this auto sum, other than average, there was also a maximum? This will tell you what was the maximum within that group that you were choosing. So we're going to put max, and we're going to put using the formula, and we want that maximum sales, so we're going to go back to Reese's sales and enter, and Jolly Rancher max, Jolly Rancher sales, remember we're in the sales column, max, and now we are in the Milky Way sales column. And last but not least, we want the max, and we want to use the gum sales. And last but not least, let's do the expenses for each of these. We want to find out what the maximum number of the expenses was, not the total, but the maximum per section. So we want to do the max for the Reese's expenses, and we want to do the max for the Jolly Rancher expenses, enter, and then we want to do the max of the Milky Way expenses, and last but not least, the max of the gum expenses. So now you can check your work because you know what the maximum sales and expenses were. Let's just say for Reese's, there's 32 and 10. So 10 was the expenses. Yep, that was the 10. That was for the expenses. Sales, the most expensive was 32. Now, if you will, File, Save As. Make sure you find your DIT folder on your desktop. DIT. Make sure your last name, not my last name, is there, and hit save. Now, you're not done yet because we just did all the candy sales. So now let's go up here, back to the home page, the home tab, and let's go back to Format. And now instead of unhiding, we want to hide the sheet. So we're going to hide candy sales. We're going to hide candy, Format. We're going to hide this sheet, which is candy expenses. And we are going to hide this sheet, which is candy analysis, so that you should only see the sales, and then you will see all the instructions for what you're going to do. Basically, it's the same skills that we just did for the candy sales. We're just using different data. Get to it.